PR Connections Radio presents. This episode of Liberating Menopause is brought to you by Classy Communications PR and Advertising. Classy Communications provides public relations and marketing solutions for businesses, professionals, and non-profit organizations. They can deliver the true meaning of your business with press releases, social media marketing, web development, email marketing, book publishing, and much more. Wherever your potential clients are, they can help you connect with them. Visit classycommunications.net to learn more about their suite of services that can help your business stand out from the rest. Classy Communications is your solution for business success.
Welcome, everyone. Hi, another episode of Liberating Menopause. I'm so happy to be the host. My name is Vasquez, and today we are kind of summing up some of the things we've been talking about. And, this is a really good conversation because we're going to bring 3 of the episodes into more clarity. For the past few episodes, we've been stepping into a lot of truth, into women were never taught to recognize that the body speaks long before the mind catches up. And that means like sometimes, we're talking about nutrition, we're talking about feeding and fueling, and what's the difference. And up until, you're about 30, 35 is a good time to be feeding. I mean, you get all the flavors, everything. Your body is fully grown by 35, pretty much. The final part is that bone growth. And but now we come into a point because things are starting to shift and change in our hormonal life. And, in the workplace, these are not languages, conversations that are discussed. Everybody's hustling and bustling, just running through. Everybody comes in and they're all jazzed up in different ways. And, some people can look like they're really on top of things, but honestly, internally, those connections are kind of all rewired and cross-wired because it's not fueling up. It's only feeding. And the feeding, is a good thing, when you're going out for a dinner or something, but in general, to keep your life on a lifeline of longevity and wanting to have a good quality in life after, when you're stepping into, the later years, especially, so that's why I start with like 35, because this conversation goes past postmenopausal women, because even in postmenopausal women, they say, oh, I'm finished with all that stuff. I don't need anything. And, this is very misleading and untrue, because we continuously need to be fueling the body, especially postmenopausal women, because of the lack of the hormonal messenger cutback that has taken place. There's no more communications that master our bodies like they had in the past. And we don't understand that path. We believe that, we're born, we're growing, and, as long as we wake up and we're breathing, we're still doing okay. But nobody's looking at the phases, the stages, the changes, and what happens. And that the body speaks long before the mind catches up. And that's the whole thing, that, there's slow leaks. There's things that take place in the body that are really creepers, and honestly, until that final link starts to be missing completely, that's when breakdowns start happening. Even though the signs and symptoms have been there, but we push through because, again, we're not aware of these kind of changes. And, coming out of 45 years in radiology, being in the workplace, watching and seeing, I grew up in a big city, so I watched a lot of people downtown in the hustle and the bustle. It's kind of why I wanted to get into the medical field, really, because that was to me, that was just too crazy of a work environment, I mean, in the big city I come from, IBM towers, all these cool big buildings that are there, big banks, everything. So, when you're young, they take you to like go on a field trip so you can go see this industry, see what it looks like. And it just kind of bored me. And sometimes I wish I had taken the leap only because of the business line that I want to be in today. And I missed out on that because I didn't join into the business. I did get the medical side, which I kind of feel is has a great importance because it teaches us how to run this body. And that's a big factor in our lives that you're not going to get in the corporate world. And in the corporate world, that business side of things, that really is the house of a lot of industries and ways that we can develop our lives. So, there had to be a choice. And so I took the medical field, but I did see those big windows, 10 typewriters, tables all set up. That was back then, right? Typewriters, sorry. Today it's a bunch of computers and everybody's lined up and set up in their cubicles or what have you. And again, I was talking about, the fashion, because when you're in uniforms, you're pretty much in uniforms, and a lot of medical clinics kind of support you with that by providing, because they want us all to stay uniformed, right? But when you're in the corporate world, it's a whole different world. And so everybody has to wear, pretty much presentable attire. But as we have developed and grown, this is the fashion statements that I was telling you we were declining in. And it wasn't so much because of the clothes. It was really because of the body and the changes and the things that we don't recognize. So in this episode, I want to name that quiet transition, the shifts, that happen in the skin, the dips in the energy. I mean, there's so many different, the cravings that rise. I don't know about you, but always around 2:00, 2:30, I have that chocolate crave thing. And they say for women, because of serotonin levels and stuff, it's a good thing to have a little piece of very good cacao, healthy chocolate that benefits the body, not just, regular milk chocolate kind of things. Because again, we're always fueling. Feeding would be the milk chocolate kind of things. But when you're fueling, you really want to stay as, organic and natural as possible, so that it all can mimic in the body and really benefit us. And so, there's the difference on that, because sometimes I know that they spell that word differently, and it kind of tricks you on the packages. So being aware of that is really interesting, so that's what happens on the clock sometimes. At one point, I had a salt crave at 10 a.m. and I needed potato chips. That was crazy, because really, I always have a bag of potato chips ready for me at 10 o'clock. I don't know if it was the salt. I'm not a salty person. So, I don't know if my body said, oh, you better have some salt. And, of course, not knowing that it was unnecessary calories I was incorporating into my body. I was going more for the salt, I think, to energize my body. But, again, these are things that we all walk down this lane. We all do these things. But what we don't learn is how this is going to affect you later in life. And I know that if you continue on high salt things and things like that, a lot of times it could be turning into high blood pressure. So what we learn that these aren't random. There's signals, there's languages, that their body early warnings in the body, because things that we have to look for, we're so common to reach for things that we've seen all the time, instead of stepping out and saying, I need to grab this. Okay, say for instance, an apple. You know what I mean? Who wants to go grab an apple when you have all this cool, sweet stuff? You got a machine there that will provide you anything that you want to hit that crave. But who's going to think about that they need fiber? And, an apple is a lot healthier, right? It could happen, but it's not a common thing. That's why if it had been, we wouldn't see so many imbalances in bodies that we see walk by. In episode 2, we opened the doors to the gut and brain hormone triad. And because so many women are not aware of gut health connection to our hormones and to things that change in our bodies, anxiety can come from an imbalanced gut health. recently, I go on a lot of different sites with menopause and things like that, and I see the questions that they provide and the distress that women are in, and I apply myself to give some good answers, to give some leading posts so that they could have an understanding. And it's like 75% of women on monthly have a lot of gut symptoms, issues, but it's something that we walk through because it's not something that we recognize and something that we have to stop today to go think about when actually it really is. And so the internal group chat that never stops talking, that's what happens, even when we're too busy to listen. And so that's the whole problem there, because if we're too busy to listen now, the problem with that is later it will make you listen. It will sit you down and you'll have to be at that doctor's office. And what are you thinking about? I wish I would have done something sooner. I wish I would have known. I wish, I hate sitting here and knowing that I'm here because of ... There's a lot of ways that this can be turned around so that we don't have to have so many visits like that. And we explore, in my second episode, we were exploring between feeding and fueling, what I'm talking about now, and how the food we choose in survival mode shapes the way our bodies communicate. And that's the whole beauty of when we fuel instead of feed. So, and now in this episode today, we're bringing in all together in the workplace, the place where women push through, override. We do all kinds, because the body has been sending you messages, and real gentle, vital messages, very vital messages. But somewhere between deadline meetings and convenience food, they've been landing in your internal spam folder, right? You know how that is. You have those promotional folders, spam folders, things that, you really didn't want to see, but they got into the box anyway, right? And so, but you ignore them, you push them out, you throw them out. And that's why I want to take you into your body's spam folder, the one that's gotten pushed aside, and how we explore the differences between, not because you don't care, it's not that, but because you're responsible, you're committed, and you're navigating years of employment in a world that rewards speed over self-connection, because it's not a conversation. Today, we're pulling the messages out of the spam pile. That's what I want to do today, And so your body leaves us clues, and long before you feel them, I'm going to go over a few things on the list in the way, your skin changes and the way your hair grows and the way your cravings rise at 3 p.m. When the body has a full balance, you really do eliminate a lot of craves. You really do get to fight through those whispers because you kind of shut them down. When you get to in a habit of transformation and change, the body starts to say, oh, this feels so much better. I mean, trust me, the body knows. It knows when it's getting junk and fructose and dextrose and junk and junk and junk. It knows that because it just throws it to the side, because it comes down into the body and it looks at it like, okay, I can't do anything with that. Sometimes those little workers in the body don't even want to go to work because, here it comes again, and it's all just junk coming in the body. Nothing that I can do with it except throw it into the pile. And, that pile creates the expansion in our bodies and things like that. But when it's coming down like Niagara Falls, looking very beautiful and healthy, and oh my gosh, the body just gets a reaction of, look at all those greens coming, get ready for the liver to be brushed off, or, again, I told you I love talking about this body and I love talking forward. So it's how the gut sends early warnings long before the mind catches up. Say a sugary drink, soda, fruit juice, sweetened beverages loaded with fructose. This forces your all about the liver right now, because it forces your liver to convert to fat, leading the fatty liver over time. Now, one day, I mentioned this long time ago, I was sitting in my mammography room, and next door is ultrasound, and I saw a mother and son walk in there. And yeah, the little guy was a little overweight and kind of taller than his mother. She was a little short lady. I'm thinking it was for her. And then I found out later it was for him, and he was a child. And it's not uncommon to have fatty liver because of all that processed food and things like that. And that was his history. And I was like really in shock because that was the kind of, that turned the light bulb on in me to know this. But not only that, this is what happens to women also. Suddenly they have a diagnosis of a cirrhosis liver and I don't even drink, because it wasn't about a cirrhosis of alcohol liver damage. Nope, it was that to convert to fat, leading to fatty liver over time. White bread, pastas, all these things. I'm not saying this because I want you to stop eating these fun things. The warning and the awareness of what it does to you so that you can think about how you want this reaction to take place in the body. Is it going to shine and glow for you, or is it going to dim the light and darken the look? Bring in and you know that in some ways the presentation of your face and the way you look and stuff like that is on a gloomier way than in a bright, shiny light, right? But it's the refined carbs and that spike your insulin, and we spike if you knew everything that you ate in a day and seen how much you spike your insulin, you'd really be in shock, because I work with premium products and health products, and everything in my life is all about working with doctors and talking about these things. You learn to develop a pattern of watching how to cut back on spiking insulin. We really don't want to do that. That's the most hardest part. That's very damaging, causing excess fat to build up in your liver and slows down detox functions. I mean, the liver is made to detox, and when that starts to get corrupted, this is what I mean, that all these things start to happen. Food messes with the process. That gives upsets, and fried foods, deep fried foods, and fast foods packed with unhealthy fats and calories that put stress on the liver and increases inflammation. Now top that off with happy hour alcohol. Again, I had all the good times and fun like that, but I definitely knew that if I did have water and happy jiggers to drink, water was going to be my best friend after that, because you really have to water down, and you have to combine, you have to do something, because from there sometimes you just go eat and add more stuff over time, increasing the risk again of fatty liver. Some women are shocked with that diagnosis, just like I said. The confusion, they did not see it attacking on the liver. That's the other thing. From feeding, not fueling, small amounts can really damage the liver over time. So imagine increasing the risk of fatty liver. Just imagine that, and not even know processed meat, sausages, bacon, hot dogs filled with saturated fats and nitrates and preservatives. I mean, that overloads your liver and makes it work harder. Did you know that? I mean, it's pretty interesting, because I really like a specific I did lunch meat, and knowing that. And again, it's not that you have to get rid of these things completely, but the bottom line is maximizing the best and minimizing the damaging ones, the feeding, limiting the feeding, and maximizing on the fueling, because that's what's going to bring us a balance. Just think of, I don't know if you've ever seen a blister on your tire outside, right? You ever see that? I don't know, right on the side of the tire. It's like a little ball that starts to pouch out, and by, the tire, noticing that the tire blows out after that, right? But the blister starts to grow and grow and grow, and then pops. What happens to us in the slow leaks attacking hormones? Packaged chips, cookies, crackers. These are all the things that, honestly, if you really look, that's all you're going to see around you. And like, damn, what am I supposed to eat? Because of course you want all that stuff. But if you're trying to change the route and change the map of your body and change the way you really want to develop as you grow up and grow out into the real world, when it's your world and not related to employment world, that's when, that real balancing act takes place, because it is your world now. There is nothing to reach for except what you're going to provide yourself. And so, the trans fats, artificial additives that burden your liver and contribute to fat accumulation. This is just the liver part that I'm talking about. Imagine the sweetened breakfast, the cereals and things like that. It's a quick meal and stuff like that for kids and families, and may seem harmless, but that added sugar and refined grain, again, spikes first thing in the morning. It's a big spike. And right there it all begins, and the one thing we want to do is spiking is like, oh my God, suddenly a big tsunami wave came in, that's a big spike. We just want little waves coming in. We just want it to be flowing. We want the ocean to just come up to us and pull back and regenerate us, right? We don't want that big old burst of tsunami water coming over us and, creating this, over time because of natural body processes. The detoxing is very important for our bodies. And today we're stepping into a part of the story most women we miss and are never even brought to this table to talk about this. And so, we grab what's there, we trust what's offered, we eat what's convenient, but convenience does have a cost. And the liver, your quiet, loyal filter, pays the bill first. Do you believe that? So things that, there are other sides to this, because that's one end of the spectrum. But then when you're on the other end of the spectrum, there's so much that happens behind the scenes. And so natural foods that fuel health, we could talk about this all day because this is just my subject and I just love it. Fuel, health, and strength that saves the liver. So again, we're talking liver today, and there's so much to that big old liver in our bodies and what it has to do. It's like a strainer, like the strainer that when you're going to strain food before you throw it out, you throw it in a strainer, get all the fluid out, right? And then you toss it. Well, that's what happens. But when everything is congested from unbalanced gut health, coming down into the liver, it's just garbage. And especially when people do not like to drink water. Nobody's washing anything away. There's no shower being taken care of. There's nothing but a swamp inside the body. And honestly, that's really not going to help the transparency in your skin, in your hair, in your health, in your glow. Water is everything, and we need to really acclimate a flavor for it, do something that's really going to get it into our body. There's a lot of foods that we can eat, that have water, but, it's just really, really important. And, just talking about this stuff, it's just so important. Because again, we're always on the go at work. We're always running. We're here and there. And I might not have shifted into a weight at 163 at 30 had I known this stuff. If somebody told me back in my early 20s, hey, you got, you could party and stuff like that, but make sure you're doing this and doing that and doing this. And one day, somewhere around my 30, it had to be around 28, 29. One woman did come to me. That was a patient, and it was so cool because she looked so good, and she was 50 years old, and she even let me know, because she comes from the same city, that she had done all that, this and that. But what she did tell me about was that water drinking, and if you're going to do all this, then make sure you have that. So the minute I got home, I ordered a water tank to be delivered to my house, and I got rid of all the sugary drinks in my house, because when I saw her, this is the only way I grew up, by seeing and talking to these people. I was a portable tech in radiology. I love going into different departments. I love taking camera. It's my camera, right? I was the photographer of the hospital. I'd go to the patients, make it easier on them, but also our artistry in creating that image and getting it in one shot, because I got to take all that stuff back to the department to develop. So, and to make it convenient so that patient didn't have to come down to our department, I would like to go to them. What happened was I got to stop at all the nurses' stations, ICU, heart stations, all these different places. And I got to learn. And, you go into dialysis, you go into every department from preemies to everywhere, and you get to learn. I asked, why so many tomatoes on the wall in all these pictures? She told me because of the heart. It's good for the heart. So I said this in the past. I started eating a lot of tomatoes, things that I would ask and inquire about. If I had a question, somebody was there to give me that answer. And this is why I had a way to receive this education. And working inside the body all the time, you become that mechanic, right? That's body mechanic inside that body. And I could take you down through the kidneys, ureters, into your bladder. I could take you into so many different roads of connection, navigating pathways. That's what I like doing, guiding you, being that guide that's going to direct you to the healthy side of life. We have that damaging side. And when we get there, it's not because we failed, it's because we didn't know. And so with me having these messages, this is what that's all about. So fuel your mind and body for the day ahead. Greek yogurt, packed with probiotics, calcium, protein. Aids digestion, strengthens bones and boosts immunity. We all need strong bones and muscles and things like that, because when you come into these after 50 and going into 60 age, you need to make sure that you have formed that foundation that's going to carry you through, where you'll find balance. You'll find, working out is so much less complex. If you didn't like it young, trust me, you will learn to like it in your higher stages of age. And what's so cool today for me is, I mentioned in the past, I belong to the Vegas Golden Gals dance community. It's Pom-Poms with Purpose. And it's so cool because all the women are 55 and up, older than me, and I'm right there in the middle. But what's so cool is the development of the cognitive and physical togetherness, the dancing routines, the keeping the numbers and counts together. Keeping that brain going and keeping it connected with ourselves. When we don't have other things to do in this retirement world, people will just sit there, and sometimes that's how we become that couch potato and things like that. And people don't want to go out, and they don't want to do things anymore. They lose their strive, and we need to keep that going. Our past generations of grandmothers were knitting and cooking and doing all these cool things and teaching us how to get stains out with carbonated water, all their secret trips. Today, our generation, for the grandmother world, and it's not even a grandmother world, it's just a great life to be living in and having these younger generations under you. But we're all turning into, whether we're dancing, we're working out at the gyms, we're on pickleball teams, we're on, there's just so much that our generation and this new generation of grandchildren, the things they'll be talking about for their grandmother is going to say how beautiful she is, how vibrant she looks. She still runs with me. She still jump rope with me. She still plays ball with me. All these things that didn't happen in our past. My grandmother, she was a very jolly woman, and she liked to have her little, toasting drinks that she would like, so she always cooked. So that was the jolliness about her, the knitting and the crocheting, things like that. Those things that were more homemade, that were really the groundwork of our lives. Well, today we're building a new ground world for our lives. And that's what this conversation on Liberating Menopause is all about. It's the freedom. It's to bring you into hormones, our lifeline, and brings that glow to us if we fuel and feed it correctly. That's what this is all about. Coffee, antioxidants, and gentle energy boost while eliminating energy drinks, that junk. But we don't know that because it's a new world, and these are things that they realize. Okay, we in our whole past primal generations, coffee was everything, and so now they created these things that make it seem sharper and healthier, but really it could be more damaging. I mean, so many young kids have problems with heart problems and things like that because they're drinking it so young. And honestly, they should have their own energy. They shouldn't be using that, but we don't know that. I mean, there's just so much. Oatmeal, high in soluble fiber, stabilizes the blood sugar. It improves the heart health and keeps you feeling satisfied. Can you imagine that? So you see chia seeds. I don't know if you know anything about chia seeds, but I'm excited to tell you about that because the chia puddings and all these things, I love making that because then you have something to just go snack on when you get hungry and you know it's all good juju stuff. It really is because it's full of omega-3s, fatty acids, fibers, proteins, supporting heart health, digestion, and sustained energy. Berries rich in vitamins and antioxidants, and fiber, inflammation, and strengthens the immune system. So there's just so many cool things to fuel the body with, and these are the things I want to bring to you and teach you and show you that keeping up, preparing things in this fast world, as I said, the community of our world in the corporate life and stuff like that is all about running and keep going. But I need you to stop, slow down, and listen and think and consider yourself. Your body has never stopped speaking to you. You've just been too busy to surviving to hear it, right? The quiet transitions you felt, the internal group chats we've uncovered in this episode, the break room body language we decoded today because of all that spam folder and things we have to pull out. They're all part of the same story, your story, a story of women. That's what I'm all about women who have carried responsibilities, deadlines, family expectations, the entire workplace on her back sometimes, often at the cost of her own connections. So, but now, something you didn't know before, your body doesn't communicate in medical terms. It'll never teach you this. I hate to think that you'd have to find somebody medically to disseminate all this stuff after the fact. I want to get you there so that when you get there, you come out with flying colors and your body doesn't, have to go through all these crazy changes. And when you shift from feeding to fueling, from rushing to noticing, oh my gosh, I'm telling you, from convenience to connections, your body responds. Not with perfection, but with clarity, with steadiness, and with presence. And we all want to have presence because a lot of times, remember the presenting conversation I gave on one of my podcasts, you can be there, but on the mental plate side, you're not. Body's not feeling well, but you got to sit there and get through it anyway. So because of fueling isn't about food, it's about honoring the woman you are becoming. As I take you on the next journey in our next episode, I look forward to teaching you that you deserve a life when your body isn't in an afterthought. You deserve a workplace that rhythm doesn't cost your well-being. That's what it's all about. We have to really take care of ourselves. We have to nourish ourselves, nurture ourselves, love ourselves. Self-care, self-love is our whole bottom line. So I wish you all peace on a good day. Happy Valentine's, sharing hearts of true love, not the commercial one, just all about love, real love. Keep that self-love going. Take care, everyone. Thank you. Lisa Vasquez from PR Connections Radio, Liberating Menopause. Bye.
This podcast is brought to you by Envision U. Envision U has discovered how to impact spirit, body, and soul with spray technology in just 30 seconds. With Envision U, you can achieve optimal health and start living the life you have always dreamed of. Use the promo code EnvisionU.com/VernDix to take control of your health naturally. PR PR Connections Radio thanks you for watching this podcast. Check out more episodes of this show and our others at prconnectionsradio.com.